Alright guys, so I'm working on finishing up my house so that I can sell it, and this kitchen, in particular these countertops and cabinets, need to be finished up. And it's one of the bigger projects that I need to tackle to get this house on the market. So I'm installing a cast-in-place concrete countertop, and it will sit on underlayment. 1/2-inch Durock or hardy board is what you could typically use. This is my first concrete countertop, but I did a lot of research to get me to this point. It's rather late in the day right now, so I'm going to concentrate on just getting this island done. I'm going to form all these countertops with a nice bullnose edge. This piece right here is a 1/4 bullnose. They have all different kinds of designs that you can put on here, and what these do is go on here and then you snap the front off. So it gives it the profile of the 1/4 bullnose, and then right here it's like a thin point, see? And then you just snap this whole thing off from the front. You snap it that way and then it comes off, and this is underneath of everything, so you can't see this. This stays in here. I was actually pretty surprised about how durable these are. They're like an 1/8 inch thick. They're a lot thicker than I thought they would be. They're very strong. And so the idea behind this is that you just put it right on the edge here, and you screw it down to the Durock. So what we need to do is cut these on a compound miter saw, and I need to form these 45-degree corners here, which are pretty small, so it's going to be a little bit tedious to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is lay these on here and just get a mark when they butt up. Because see, you got this little spot on the bottom that kind of kicks out. And then on the corners, we just want to mark where that is. Now I have the intersecting points there that I can measure to. knockouts for the faucets and all that stuff.
Right, yeah. Put you on the corner here.
Can you hold me on 1 inch? Or you can hold me on 2 inches just to make it easier. Good?
Yep.
To reinforce this countertop, I'm going to be using this fiber mesh, and this is actually made out of like a fiberglass. It's not like plastic or anything. This is specifically meant for this. All this stuff I'm using came from Concrete Countertop Solutions, and I will leave a link in the description for all of the products that I'm using. So this is really easy. You just roll this out, cut it with some scissors or a utility knife, and then I'm going to be putting some spacers to keep it in the middle of the slab. You want to make sure you got at least 3/4 of an inch between the edge of the fiber and the edge of the form. You don't want it to get too close, otherwise that fiber might stick out. So these are called Z-clips, and all they do is just hold this mesh right in the middle of the slab. So to get these miters to go together, what I'm going to do is duct tape them with some Gorilla Tape. You need something pretty strong to hold them together. As you see, they got these gaps, and once you put the tape on, it closes that up. Alright, so this is all ready to pour some concrete. So in my concrete mix, I'm going to be putting some charcoal pigments in there. I'm going to be adding one of these for each bag of concrete that I'm putting in. And this mix that I'm using here is specially made for countertops. This is an 80-pound bag. And I'm just going to be mixing it in this bin right here instead of a bucket, because I think it's going to be pretty thick when I'm done. I'm going to mix this color in with the water. I did 8.5 pints. Okay, so I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if this mix is bad or something, but I added what I was supposed to, and then I added like another quart of water, and it's still just powder. I'm not happy with this mix at all. I think I'm gonna return all these bags. This stuff was like $26 a bag. And I found a bunch of clumps in it that are already dry. And there's a lot more in there. So I'm not gonna use this mix. I'm gonna go to the store and use some Rapid Set mortar mix. Okay, so I went to my local orange box store and I got this Rapid Set mortar mix. I've used this a lot actually, and I've used the Cementhol version even more. And I've always been really happy with the way that both of these turned out on a whole bunch of different projects I've done with them. It's a little bit expensive. It's more expensive than that. That's $26 for 80 pounds. This is $17 for 55 pounds, but you have to add some additives to this to make it work better. So what I got is a bag of flow control. I'm gonna put 2 bags of flow control in this. This is basically just a plasticizer. And I also got a bag of set control. This is a retarder, and basically what it does is it slows it down, because this stuff sets up in like 15 minutes and it sets up way too quick. So I'm gonna add 2 bags of this, 2 bags of this to a 55-pound bag of this. I don't know what that comes out to, but I know it's a little bit more than the other stuff, but I'm just gonna return that other stuff. Especially with these clumps in there, there's just no reason for that. This is actually a lot lighter of a concrete, so I'm thinking that the color is going to actually stand out more, so I should probably use less of it. So I'm going to have to play around with it, but I got to keep it consistent. So I'm going to start out by measuring in this cup right here, and I'm going to put half of one of these containers for each bag that I put in, which is only 55 pounds. And this Rapid Set mortar mix has a compressive strength of 6,500 pounds, and I think it's reached within like 24 hours or something like that. Something crazy quick like that. So it's definitely gonna do for what we need. We only need about 5,000 PSI. So with the plasticizer, I can set this to about a 7 or 8 slump with no problem and still keep that 6,500 PSI. You can add up to 4 of the plasticizers, but I'm just gonna use 2 for now. We'll see how that goes. So this is 10 ounces of color, so I'm just gonna put 5 ounces in this bag. They say to add it to the water before you put it in there, but I found that it just stays on the bottom of the water. So I think what I'm gonna do is actually just put the water in the bucket, put about 3/4 of this bag in, and then put this in and put 2 of each of these in, mix it all around, and then add the other quarter of the bag after that. So I'm going to start out with 4 quarts of water. You can add up to 5 quarts and still have 6,500 psi. So start out with 4. We can always add more, but we can't take it away. I don't know if that's really dark enough for what I want, so I'm just going to add the whole thing. So that's pretty soupy. I'm thinking that's a good consistency right there. They say a max of 5 quarts per bag. I put 4 in, so we're definitely under the limit, and I probably will give it more than 6,500 when it's done. pretty glass smooth right there. I had put this support here for this overhang just so that it doesn't sit all by itself with the Durock. Just something simple I put together in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
What do you think, Noah? Came out pretty good. What do you think? You don't know? I started to sand it over here, but it's kind of time consuming, so I'm just going to go ahead and start forming up for the rest of my kitchen here. That's what it's going to look like. That's the color. I'm pretty happy with the color. You like the color? Yeah? Do you want me to get going? I got all these pieces dry fit now. Just wanted to make sure everything worked, and then I can put my silicone on. You don't have to do this, but I put a few extra supports on both of the sides of the sink, as well as the back side here too. I put some extra 1x in here. This is just a temporary 2x4. And then on the back side I have a temporary 1x5 just to hold it while it's curing. Over here I put another 2x4 because that's kind of a big span there. If you take this and run the flange along here, then you know where that line is and you know where it intersects. The point of intersection is where you measure to. on these flat sides here, you could just end it, or you could put this little mitered return on here. To get this undermount sink formed up in here, they give you this little strip and it has an adhesive on it. And basically you just put it on the side of the sink like this, and you make sure the height is good. Just use a level going across to the back side level. Bring it right up to the level all the way around the sink.
Hold that.
I'm just going to hit this one more time with the steel trowel in a little while, and then I'm going to call this good. I'm not going to go as crazy as I did with the island. I could probably leave it just like this because I'm just going to sand it all down anyways. I'm going to do the same sequence for sanding and finishing as I did pouring these. I'm going to do the island first just to make sure everything is the way I want it before I go and do the bigger section over there. So I got this wet grinder and it feeds water into a part in the middle there, and it spins the water around inside of these pads. These pads are like specifically made for this, and it like gets the water into these grooves and spins them around. This shroud keeps the water from somewhat getting out. And this is protected with a GFCI. Here is some pads that I got with it. On the machine right now is 200 grit, and it goes down to 50, and then 100, and then 200, and then 400, and then 800, and then 15, and 3000. These are diamond discs, and they have like a composite material that has like really fine pieces of diamond in it. So they should last for a few countertops. This grinder was a little over 200, and then it was like $70 for the discs. I'm going to be wearing some insulated gloves because when you're wet grinding, you can get shocked. Even with the GFCI, even with double GFCIs, you can get shocked. So to try to reduce the shocking, you can wear these gloves. So for the water, it came with a hose spigot connection here. So all I did was just tap into the bottom of my sink. I converted it from the 3/8 compression fitting to a garden hose fitting That way I can just plug it in right there and I don't have to drape a hose from outside. So I'm gonna start grinding away at this island. I'm gonna start off with 50 grit, level it out the best I can with 50, and then just work my way up with these different discs. If you were to try to do this without wet sanding it, it would be an absolute nightmare. In 5 minutes, you wouldn't even be able to see the lights overhead. That's how dusty it would be. I have this shroud for a grinder, and you hook it up so it hooks up to a vacuum cleaner. And that reduces some of the dust, but it definitely doesn't do enough. If you were working in a house that nobody was living in, you might be able to get away with something like this, but it still makes a lot of dust. This island is going to need a lot more work than the rest of the countertops. What I figured out when I was doing this, when I was screeding this off, I think I was going too fast. And what it was doing was pulling the stuff with it. So along the outsides, as I was screeding it, it was leaving it like an 1/8 inch low. So because of that, I wasn't able to get it super flat like I wanted. On that area over there, I was working a lot slower with the screed, and I also kind of overfilled it later on. I think at the beginning it was too wet to screed, so I waited a little while to screed it, and I think that really helped, along with going slower with the screed too. So these counters shouldn't need that much work. I don't even know if I need to hit it with 50. But what I did is install my faucet in my stove just temporarily, because right now it's like a disaster. If you're laying up your kitchen for a week and you have nothing to use, it's kind of a disaster. You know, I have like all my stuff over here, and it's like not ideal for a long time. So I just wanted to be able to cook and clean dishes and stuff, and then as soon as we get done with this, we'll switch over to there, we'll pull the stove back out, we'll pull the faucet out, and then when we're all done, I can put my dishwasher back, I can put the faucet back, and put the stove back. But for right now, it's kind of annoying not having those. The idea behind the finish that I'm doing is going to be exposed aggregate, so I'm going to grind everything down until I can see the little rocks like that. There's like little white pebbles in there. And then I'm going to put a base coat of epoxy as like a primer sealer, and then I'll put a real thick coat on top of that. So I got this all sanded down with 50 grit, the best I think I can get it, and I still have these little spots right here. These are from the bubbles that were coming up before. I didn't have that problem with that countertop, but this one I definitely had some bubbles coming up. And I tried to take care of most of them, but I didn't get them all. And that's the result of it. So I'm gonna mix up a slurry and use that to coat everything. I'm probably gonna have to do it a few times. It's gonna be a little bit tricky because I gotta put this color in it. So I gotta figure out the formula and try to get as close as I can. At the end of the day, if it's a little bit off, I don't think it's gonna matter that much because it's only little tiny spots here and there. Now the stuff that I'm using does have some bigger rocks in it, up to about almost 1/4 of an inch. There's not many, but I'm thinking I can just put it on here and then just squeegee it off, and it'll leave the Portland part of it, and then it'll fill in these little spots. Even if I gotta do it like 2 or 3 times, this stuff dries in 15 minutes, so I can just keep doing it. And then I'll give it another sand down with the 50, and then I can move forward and do the 100. Let's say that's pretty close. Now, I didn't add any plasticizer or any retarder in it, so I guess I gotta work quick. Probably all I need to do right there. I got this all sanded down with 50, and then I did 100, and then I did 200, and I left it at that. I could have gone a lot higher on the grit, but I don't see any point because it's just going to have a thick coat of epoxy on it. So I'm going to put my first coat of primer on it first. It's like a primer sealer, and you got to put it on real thin. And then I'll do my second coat, which is the flood coat. It's kind of hard to pick up on camera, but you can see all the little stones in there. I think it'll look neat when it's done, but we'll see. The first thing I'm going to do when I start shaping this is get this little tiny ledge out right here. It's like a 1/16 of an inch. So I'll just blend that in around the corner. And I also need to do some shaping here around the sink. And I'll just keep with the 50 until I'm totally done shaping things. And then I'll move up from there with the sandpaper. I got that drain closed. I don't want to put that down the drain. I'll just wash all that afterwards. This makes this a lot easier. Get rid of all this excess water. I brought this up to 200 grit. I'm pretty happy with the way this looks. This is so much better than the island. The whole thing's a little bit more brown than I thought, but I'm already getting used to it. It kind of matches the floor too. Cabinets are a little bit lighter. Look how super glossy that is. Not that it matters because I'm going to dull it up, but it does look kind of neat. It's just not really my style, but it's still pretty neat. The last thing I want to do here is experiment with the finish on here. So I need some wax on here, but I don't really know what to get. I just went to the store and got this. It's food safe, that's what I'm looking for. I don't know if this stuff is like thick enough, but this is what it looks like after I put one coat on. It says to apply several coats. So I don't want a glossy finish. That over there is all glossy. This I started sanding here, but this is all like it was before. I don't like that look though. I mean, it's kind of neat in some senses, but it's just not really my style. I usually like about a matte finish. Satin is kind of okay. So if you guys know a good finish to put on here, let me know. I'm gonna just try on this island to use this stuff and see how it turns out. Well, that's kind of the look I'm looking for. I wish it was a little bit more consistent, but if I put on a few coats, maybe that'll change that. Let me know what you guys think about a good product to use on epoxy to get a matte finish. I know there's some epoxy that you can just put on this and it will automatically be matte finish, but it was like sold out when I tried to find it. That would be the easy way to do it, is just to put another thin layer of epoxy on the top. Not even have to sand anything. So that's why I kind of left that out, because I want to see what I'm going to do. I may have to actually take this off. May have to sand that down again just to get this off, because I don't really know. It's for wood, so I don't know if it's really the right stuff. It looks like a good shine, but you can still see some of the scratches in it. I'm thinking it's not thick enough, or it's just not the right stuff. But I'm going to do another video about this kitchen, finishing up the cabinets. I'm going to put some upper doors on these and some drawers. I'm missing some stuff here. And for the upper doors, I'm going to do like a frosted glass. I was almost thinking maybe like an epoxy for the glass, and then sand it down to like a matte finish, almost like a frosted glass. That way I can put these LED lights inside of each one of these, but they don't have to be super clean because they're not like clear like glass would be. I thought it'd be cool to have like frosted glass on each one of these uppers. And this one I gotta redo that. But I made all these cabinets out of finished grade plywood, and this is spalted maple, which you don't really see a lot of spalted maple. All these colors. I didn't even put any finish on that, that's just raw right now. Look, it's got like burls in it and stuff. That's all part of the wood right there. And all these panels are solid. Look at the design in there. All these panels are 1/4 inch. That's not plywood, that's panels that I milled up out of spalted maple. And it was actually from the neighbor. The neighbor right next door had a tree fall down and it was spalted maple. And so I used that to build my kitchen with. So whoever buys this should know that, because it's kind of a neat little feature. I got a bunch of panels left that I can use, so I'm going to use them around this island and all the ends of all the different cabinets here. And then I also have a beam up here that I'm going to use it on too. So in the next video I'm going to be fixing all this up and making this 100%, and I'll get the countertop wrapped up too, and then that way you guys can see everything all at once, the whole kitchen, the way it's going to be sold. And I'm going to dress it up pretty nice. I'm going to put a backsplash on, and these drawer faces have 3/4 inch solid spalted maple, and it's all milled up. I didn't buy anything except for the plywood. This undermount sink is really nice. This is the place that I worried about the most when I started doing research on the concrete countertops, because I always wondered, how do you get a nice finish to go around for an undermount sink? Because an undermount sink is like a must. Drop-in sinks, unless they come out like here, they're like out of style. So you definitely want undermount. And you know, it worked pretty well. I gotta still do some work because it's a little bit rough. I didn't really sand it down yet, but it works really good. It's really solid in these spots too. There's definitely no breaking that. I actually got up here and was jumping up and down before, and it didn't break. You can see a little bit more depth with this high gloss over here. I think I'm going to lose some of that depth and the clarity once I put the matte finish on, but I'm just not into this kind of look. It's tacky. I don't know how to describe it. It's like from the 80s. That's the way I think of it. I mean, it looks cool on camera, but I like a matte finish. Matte finish makes it look more comfortable. Even this is a little too shiny. I'm going to do more research on this finish here and see if there's a better product that I can use. And if you guys know of any, let me know in the comments.